I know that human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Hello and welcome to the Spoilt Milk Movie Podcast. Here at Spoilt Milk, we like to discuss, dissect, and destroy guilty pleasure movies. And then we decide whether the film is truly spoilt milk, or whether it's ascended into a fine, luxurious cheese. So without further ado, let's go.
Warning, this podcast is full of spoilers for the title feature, and there's bad language from the start. If you've never seen the film, or you're offended by bad language,
fuck this podcast!
You have been warned.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spoilt Milk Movie Podcast, where today we'll be talking about V for Vendetta. My name is Cham. I'm a cheery chimp who loves chestnuts. We also have the Hobo. Tell us about yourself, Hobo.
Hello, I'm the Hobo. I'm
Homo.
happily Homo sapien. Having holiday hemorrhoids.
Holiday hemorrhoids are the best.
I'm glad that both of you helped me out in that one because I'm struggling for words.
And Katty.
Oh, this is really hard. I am Katty. I like kicking.
Kit Kats.
Oh, and Kit Kats.
Yeah.
And kittens.
Yeah.
But not of the cat kind.
Not of the cat kind.
What?
What other kittens are there? Atomic.
Atomic. Oh fuck! Like there's like an.
Fuck kittens.
No, I don't fuck kittens. Oh shit! There's like some sort of other animal that has kittens.
Right. Okay. We'll have to do some googling on that one.
I think there's like rabbits have kittens, aren't there? Are they just kits?
Right.
You could
Well, like the
kids.
Knight Rider car.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good one.
Or
Koalas?
koalas.
Well, we are here to talk about V for Vendetta, but before we have a top 3 selection that's been sent in by Andrew Gallagher.
Andrew Gallagher.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr.
Andy G.
Gallagher.
Mr. Gallagher,
And
Mr.
I'm
G.
pretty sure.
Is he other Gallagher brother?
Yeah, there we go. He is the other Gallagher brother. The more successful one, if you ask me.
He is from Mank as well.
Yeah.
He's harder.
What do you mean? In what way?
Oh, Hobo.
Oh my god.
I meant like an armadillo skin or...
He once shot a gun, he did tell me that.
Oh, really?
What, at
At
someone?
someone? Hey.
No, at a tree.
Oh, right, okay.
But apparently it was like a really old tree, I think.
Did he get a really thick Manchester accent?
You shouldn't be shooting it like it's a piece of,
Like
history.
history.
And he's just shot it.
He shot a history tree.
History tree. History tree.
Oh,
Andy Gallagher shooting history trees.
Wasn't he a history teacher as well before?
I did not know that.
I'm sure he were a history teacher.
Oh my god, and he's shooting history now.
Yeah, it's like, fuck you, history tree.
That was his goodbye to teaching.
So, who wants to go first with their top fight scene?
I'll go first.
Right.
So my top fight scene is Warrior King.
Warrior King?
What?
Both of us.
It's a Tony Jaa film.
Oh, right. Oh, well,
yeah.
every Tony Jaa film's got quality fighting in.
I've only seen On Back.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
loved On Back.
Was
but-
Tony Jaa in the one where it was about the people who got hijacked on the way to the Olympics and then had to like fight back, and they all did like jumping from rings and stuff like gladiators?
I don't know.
No, I don't know. What?
So, Warrior King.
Warrior King. There is one specific scene. I mean, the whole film's great, but there's one specific scene. There's a temple, a Buddhist temple. It is on fire and flooded at the same time.
Right.
And there's a man in a hood, and Tony Jaa comes in.
Does he hug a hoodie?
And it doesn't hug a hoodie. It does the exact opposite. But there's like some people crying because the temple's on fire, and he's like, "Oh, get out!" Like there's an injured man on the floor. He's an old man. He's like, "Oh, let's get out." Helps him get out. Then there's this man in the hood, and he starts doing some weird drunken boxing, breakdancing, fighting, and Tony Jaa just fucks him up.
Oh, is it like drunken style, Wushu or whatever it is? Because I love that style.
It's kind of that, but then breakdancing mixed in. It's weird. Like when he falls onto the floor, he does like mad, like spins and stuff. I forgot that we're actually recording this. I was like,
Yeah, you are dancing on the video.
So he has a fit.
he has a fit. Tony Jaa puts him in the recovery position. The end.
And then he elbows him in the face, because that's the type of fighting style that Tony Jaa's got, Andrew.
Well, any of the Young Bak films, like the guy that
There's
like
more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's like 3. But the guy that like made them was just like, when he sent out the calls for like fighters and that, and they were like, if you can't handle getting hit, then don't fucking bother coming.
Hard bastard.
And it is brutal.
Oh, totally. That bit where the guy gets elbowed and kneed in the face at the same time.
That bit where he jumps up really high and the weight. Oh, yeah. That, I was like, I don't want that. Just
Please don't hurt me.
I'm a soft little boy.
So that's Warrior King.
Yeah, so there's flames and fighting.
I like it. That's good.
Hobo.
Mine's not as good as Flames and Fighting.
mine
and-
isn't as good as-
Mine's a bit softer. I was tempted to go with Warrior, which is related to us, as in the MMA fighting one with
Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, and just because I had loads of good fights in it. But I went with something a bit more like, this is a fight scene I really like for how well it's shot. And that's from Brick, surprisingly enough.
Never seen it. I was asking you about this the other day.
So it's a really like low budget, almost. It feels like a very well done student film, but it's by the director of The Last Jedi, Rain Johnson, whatever you.
Sorry, this is really tart.
What's really tart? What beer is it?
It is
Florida Vice.
Florida Wessie.
I thought you meant Hobo's explanation was really tart.
No,
yeah,
it's
too much.
It's a hazy raspberry sour.
It was nice. I tried a bit.
I hate
It's tasty.
sours. Sours are the worst. Yeah. Anyway, so it's shot really. It's a film that you watch it and you feel like, if you're like me who got into filmmaking, like you feel like there's no reason I shouldn't be making a film like this. It's just well done and it's simple. You don't need loads of budget. You just need to have that visual eye. And in particular, the fight scene is a really good moment of that, where it takes a little bit of inspiration from like anime films. You know how they have like the action and then a quick cut to the punch, but then a quick cut away.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that. And some of the fighting happens off screen. So literally it's a static shot. This guy like is struggling against him and he pushes him out of the scene, and then you hear some fighting, and then they come back into the scene and the other guy's got the upper hand and is almost like chucking him down. But there's also just a bit where it's essentially a big jock guy against a weakling sort of indie old kid. And the old kid, just every time he gets knocked down or knocked to the ground, he just like does this really brutal kick to the shin of his jock, and the sound effect on it is like, oh, you just feel sick. And it's a really good matchup, I think. So yeah,
I just zoned out halfway through that.
Just thinking about your tart beer.
good to know that I sold it to you.
I zoned out and then came back in.
Ah, okay.
Was it for the shin kick?
Yeah.
Wait, so I lost you in a static shot as soon as I said that? Or?
Yeah, I didn't get that bit. All I heard was massive jock guy, and then I came back in at that point.
Oh, okay. So watch it. Massive jock guy.
Indie kid. Shin kicking.
Shin kicking, yeah. There's some shin kicking.
Do you know what? I was like, I really thought about this afterwards, and there was 1,000,001 better fight scenes. So things like The Raid, The Matrix. But 2 came to mind. One, really quickly, have you seen Dazed and Confused?
Yes.
I love the bit where like the nerdy guy's like, I'm going to go and beat that guy up. And he's like, in a fight, all you usually do is you hit someone and then someone comes and tears it apart and that's it. And then he just ends up getting beaten up. But weirdly, the first one that came to mind, and I'm quite ashamed of this, is the food fight from Problem Child 2. Have you seen Problem Child 2?
Yeah,
I've seen the first one.
And there's just a horrible pizza fight where him and his little family go to this pizza restaurant and Gilbert Gottfried's there shouting.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my God, I love pizza. And he's with this woman with giant boobs. And then they throw a meatball in the boobs. So Gilbert Gottfried, he throws a pizza back and it slaps John Ritter in the face. But the pizza's like, it's as if they've put like the world's stretchiest wallpaper paste on it. So every time someone peels a slice off the face, it leaves like this big stringy, and it's a horrible film. Like, thinking back on it now, it's horrible. And I just watched the scene again before recording this, and it's a horrible scene. And Gilbert Gottfried is just horrible and shouting at his Iago best. But I love it. And it just reminds me of being a little kid and just buzzing off Junior and Problem Child and all the shenanigans he got up to. And that's my top.
Okay. Andy gave me his top 3.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
Ooh,
he picked a top 3.
Right, okay, then what were his?
So, it was the shooty, fighty scene in Face Off when the kid's listening to Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah. Oh, I hate Face Off.
Oh, what?
And it was like, it's all because of like the song that's played and like all the shit that's going on in the background.
So is that's not with the doves? That's in the apartment.
That's
right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a little kid and he's listening to
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Right. Yeah, sorry.
Good scene.
That one. His second choice, he changed his second choice.
Right.
And his second choice is the fight scene from the Step Brothers.
I was thinking Step Brothers as well. I love that. Where he puts his nuts on the drums.
Yep. And then his third choice is Rocky and Dolph Lundgren.
Right, okay then.
Yeah.
Does he mean the actual Rocky one or the one with Apollo Creed when he kills Apollo Creed? Spoiler alert.
He meant
The final one.
the final one.
Right,
he
okay.
was tempted by the Apollo Creed one, I think. Actually, or was it the other way around? It was one of the two.
Yeah, it was
haven't helped.
definitely Dolph Lundgren.
Okay,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Because I had to spell it.
But yeah, because Dolph Lundgren fights Apollo Creed.
Doesn't he
earlier in the
kill
film.
him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a really good scene, and he comes down dancing to Living in America, and
Living in America.
he just smashes him and says something like, "If he dies, he dies." But that's one of the good Rocky films.
I've never seen any Rockies.
Have you not?
I was saying it's the exact same thing. I know that like Rocky and that is some of the more popular ones, but I prefer Rocky 4. I think just for when I came into it and the whole, as cheesy it is, the montage and then the "I will break you" just sells it.
So what are our top 3? Thanks for yours, Andy, by the way.
Cheers,
what was
Andy.
yours, Katty?
Warrior King.
What was yours, Hobo?
Brick.
And mine was Problem Child 2.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, we'll be back shortly to talk about
So
Bieber
strange.
Vendetta.
Bieber.
Vendetta.
Bieber. Is that like Antonio Banderas' weird son?
No, that's what the Skybox thought I said when I said Bieber Vendetta. And I brought up films about Justin Bieber and then people in debt. I was like, what?
I would sing a Bieber song, but I don't know any, so...
Do you not?
No, like, I can't even think of a single bar from a Bieber song.
We'll go and play you some, and then we'll come back, and the first half you can sing it.
I don't know. No.
See you soon.
Bye.
Get back to the pod.
Hello and welcome back to this V for Vendetta episode of the Spoilt Milk movie podcast. I don't know if you're prepared for this, Katty, but what the fuck's it about?
I mean, I've got a little bit of a thing prepared. So, a little bit of a thing. A sad month. Sad mouth. So, V for Vendetta, it's kind of like a modern day Guy Fawkes type thing. So the world that it's in is kind of like a weird 1984 type thing where there's like curfews and people are always watching you, and there's like some people called the Fingermen that try and finger you in alleys.
Are they called Fingermen?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because every branch of a government is based on the human body. So you've got like the head, the chancellor, the mouth of London, and then you've got like the arms and the hands and the fingers.
Who are the ball bag men?
The ball
They don't
bag
go
men.
that low. They don't go below the waist, because I want to know who the tackle is for meat and veg of it.
So we've got all those things going on. Got a curfew.
Got a curfew.
Curfew.
You've got to be in if you're at some sort of social standing, below some sort of social standing, you've got to be in for that time. And if you're not, you get fingered by the Fingerman. It's like super, super fascist. And, then we meet a guy called V. And he's got a vendetta.
He does, and he likes... Well, I don't know, actually. I was going to say he likes words beginning with V, but I felt like he dropped that quite quickly.
Yeah,
came out in that first bit and was like talking about vivisections and stuff.
He's just a bit of a wordsmith, and he likes it. He liked his own introduction a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's been by himself for like many years, and like he can read.
It can build train tracks, can't
it can build train. Well, not so much build train tracks, but like uncover train tracks.
No, he said that he repaired them.
He
like some of the tracks
uncovered
were
and repaired.
Yeah, so you can repair a train
But
track.
I think the whole obsession with V as well. He mentions the fact that he thinks a lot of his creation is related to 5 or V or things like that.
Well,
like
you learn about it a little bit more later on, and we'll go into it a little bit later on.
He didn't say vagina or vulva.
He didn't say vagina or vulva.
Why?
Or vivarium.
Or Volvo, which is a rude word.
Is it?
Is it?
Depends if you really like cars, I guess.
Vivisection. He didn't say that.
Are you sure?
What's a vivisection?
I can't remember, isn't it? Is that like the snip?
No, that's a
Vivisection.
vasectomy.
Yeah.
Oh, another V.
Vivisection. I feel like I know this.
Yeah, I feel like...
Vectors.
Vectors. Ooh.
Vectogram.
Yeah, I deal with vectors.
Oh, vivisection is the practice of performing operations on live animals for the purpose of experimentation or scientific research. So your day job, basically, Katty.
Wow. I mean, live humans.
Yeah.
Not animals.
What about, like, bastard animals? Like,
There's no bastard animals.
there's some bastard animals.
Technically, all animals are bastards because their
Wasps.
parents aren't married.
Well, no, most animals are bastards. There's some that have been married off, haven't there? Like,
Yeah,
people
but
marry their dogs.
I don't know what legal standing that marriage has.
Good
Good
point.
shout. Good shout.
I'm a bastard in my attitude, like rats.
Wasps.
That
Whoa.
bite you even after you've fed them.
No, I've got 2 pet rats. They're not bitey.
Yeah, no, but even after you've fed them and then they bite you, I'd be like, you're a bastard rat.
My rats have never bit me.
Well, yeah, they're yours.
little
They're not bastard rats.
Little Pig and Hercules.
Yeah, but wasps are another bastard
Yeah.
animal.
Their
do,
wasps are cunts.
Yeah, they are.
They're bastard offspring of bees.
So what? Right, I'm gonna level with you. I watched this film over 2 nights. Watched about the first hour and 15 minutes the first night, and then second night picked it up, and I started watching the second thing, and I was like, I've got no idea what's going on,
Okay.
and I feel like I can't remember shit from what happened in the first. Like, I wasn't drunk, I wasn't taking drugs or anything like that, I wasn't overly tired. But I just watched the second bit and was like, I don't know what the hell I'm watching.
Do you want me to paint you a picture?
Yeah, I remember thinking the beginning was like Tim Burton's Batman. It was very stagey. There was some people who wanted to like rape Natalie Portman's
The
character.
Fingerman.
The Fingerman.
Yeah,
That's right,
because
yeah.
they talked about buggering her, didn't they? And then, I don't know, like, she ended up living with him.
Right. So,
Massive patches in this.
Fingerman tried to finger her. She ran away because V came to like stop them from doing the fingering.
She had a sweet surname, by the way.
Hammond.
Do you know the reason he spared her is because her name was Evey.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Evey. And you know, it's not just the fact that the name has got V in it, it's because it's got 5 letters in it.
Oh, right, really? Oh.
I think that's just some weird fucking hobo. I'm reading too far into this bullshit.
This is the film you're meant to read into it. It's designed to be read into.
I think it was just being a decent human being by stopping a lady from getting raped.
No, but then, like, afterwards he invited her to what would happen and he brought her into his world because of the connection he saw.
He brought her into his world because she stopped him from getting fucked up by that policeman.
No, but before that, he wasn't going to show her, he wasn't going to take her to a rooftop and, you know, do all that doodah when he blows up the Old Bailey. That was purely because he's like, he's almost gasped with when she says her name. And the reason he does is because of that connection with 5 and V and... Yeah.
Not because it's a dad.
What? Oh, no, it's not a dad.
How do you know it's not a dad?
Well, it's not meant to be necessarily anyone.
Well, a dad died in the mental place.
It's not. I don't think it's meant to be. The final message of the film is meant to be. It's not meant to be necessarily anyone. It's meant to be everyone and no one.
So just remind me, he blows up the Old Bailey, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
it's a
fireworks.
Is
that a year before or something?
Is
Did
it-
he give him a year to...
Yeah, and then he then goes into Evie's place of work, which is basically like the BBC.
Yeah.
And he sends in like a load of like costumes of his mask and his wig and his cape and shit. And Evie's the one that takes him to the costume department, not knowing what they are. And he then like sort of takes over that TV program. Is like, everyone join me in a year's time, like fuck the government, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow up Parliament. And yeah, Evie saves him from getting fucked up.
Pepper spraying that dude's face, doesn't she?
Yeah, she gets knocked out, and then V takes her to his house, cave house.
Well, before we continue with the plot, what did you think of Natalie Portman's accent?
What's
It was a bit...
English?
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it were all right. I mean, it's
a bit, strange sometimes. It's a bit...
Why does everyone have to talk like that if they're English, if they're not?
I've got to
I
imagine...
thought Natalie Portman were English.
No? No, that was it was something she got taught, and you can really tell sometimes that she's forcing it. She's really...
I don't know about this.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's not from Yorkshire, the accents are weird to me, so...
But yeah, I thought, I don't know, like to keep banging on about The Witch, but if you've seen The Witch, I really like that Anya Taylor-Joy, she's not English, but she did like a really northern accent. And then watch this and I was like, oh, you're going for that, are you? That kind
Which
of
one?
like,
Is she
oh,
is she
dear
the
God, no.
eldest daughter? In
Yeah.
Witch? Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, why is it always this voice? Why isn't it?
But
Why couldn't it be like northern?
I would say more in this film it makes sense because of Natalie Portman's
it's set.
character's background in this. She had anarchist parents who were against the rising power that this government has become.
I think they were called activists.
Activists.
Not
yeah.
anarchists.
But they were... Yeah, you're correct. So...
Yes.
and then she got taken away to one of these camps to get essentially re-educated into what this... So she's probably...
Did this happen in the film I watched?
So they
I remember
told...
hiding under a bed and a mum getting killed because I
Yeah.
was like, oh, the good old hiding under a bed while your parent gets killed scene. that we've seen
Yeah,
a lot.
they told you about it, like, 'cause they're going about, like, because they want to find out who V is, and then they know that she watched the Old Bailey getting blown up. They were doing some research into her, and they were like, oh, her parents were activists, her dad died in the house thing that they put them all. It basically, like,
concentration camps.
Yeah, it was like a concentration camp for people that didn't agree with the fascist government.
So if you were gay...
Oh yeah, they didn't like the gays.
If you were gay, essentially not English, so it's there's no like foreign people in it at all.
No, like Stephen Fry's character had a Quran and they
Yeah.
fucking kicked off about that.
So unless
I did
you're
that.
white, English, and straight, then you were sent to one of these camps.
Right, okay.
I
Did
mean,
you have a copy of Metal Hammer as well as Kerrang? Sorry. Paul Rock joke.
that was terrible.
Wow.
that would have worked maybe about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
No one cares.
So then she gets smacked over the head, doesn't she? And she ends up living with him.
Yeah, and then
is she, as far as you're aware, is she a prisoner or is she his guest? It's kind of a bit of a Beauty and the Beast thing going on.
she's kind of both at the same time.
Can
Like
she leave? Remind me.
she can't leave,
Right, so she's a prisoner.
but they start to befriend each other a little bit. He makes her some
Eggy bread, don't
egg
you?
in an hole,
Egg in a basket. That's what Stephen Fry calls it, doesn't he?
egg in a basket.
I didn't think that was an actual thing when I watched this. I watched it and went, are they trying to make something British that isn't British?
Well, what was it? Why did that come back again? Why did Stephen Fry make an egg in a basket as well?
Is it something you've had before? Is it a British thing?
I've never had it, but I've heard of it.
I've had eggy bread before,
Yeah,
but
but
not
I
like
think-
in that weird
I
circle
think this is one of
thing.
those things that Americans think we eat all the time. You know, because we're known for like tea and toast. And then someone's probably told someone that's just put, oh yeah, they also have eggy bread. Never in my life. Don't know anyone who has. No one's ever offered to make me it.
Have you
What,
not had
you not had
eggy
eggy
bread,
bread?
though, where you
No.
just dip like your bread in egg and then fry it.
Yeah, no, I've had that.
But not that weird egg in a
I haven't
circle.
had that, like, since
Not
I was a
egg
kid,
roll.
because I don't like it. But, like, frying it like he did that, like...
With it in that little circle.
I mean, it'd make it less messy.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
Seems
I'm not
like a
saying
decent idea,
it's
but
not
yeah.
a good... I think they were trying to suggest
It might be
this
a-
is a very
it might be a
British thing.
southern thing.
Like, they don't have gravy, do they, at the fish and chip shop? I know. Why wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
like you care anyway. You don't like gravy.
You don't
No,
like kebabs.
doesn't mean just because I don't want it doesn't mean it shouldn't be a standard.
Wait, you don't like gravy?
No,
Oh, my
I can
God,
have
alright.
it, but I prefer not to have it.
First ketchup.
So, right, okay. So she's with him. He's like watching some like films in sword fencing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
He's got a
then
shit ton of books, hasn't he?
shit ton of books, old jukebox thing. He takes her to a nonce's house.
Does he? What? When's this?
The priest guy.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Oh, yeah, the priest, because he dresses her
So-
up as some...
But his cave is filled with all the things that are banned, so they're all really nice things. That's why he's got such a nice home, because he's stolen them from the government, and he's essentially been plotting down in this cave for ages. And
Have they banned eggs in bread?
Yeah.
well, no,
Because
it's, I
him and
think,
Stephen Fry eat it.
yeah, I
so-
think the eggs and bread is more about the fact that there is very much, like back in the old days, a very clear division between upper class and lower class. There's no middle or middle lower. It's pretty much upper class can afford the nice stuff. They can
Like
afford
eggs.
Eggs.
and butter. At one point, there's a bit where they mention butter, and they're like, yeah, and then everyone else gets whatever they're given.
Ah, right, okay then.
So that must not include much butter, if any. So that's
Just
the divide.
Marge.
That's the divide we're working on in this world. That it's gotten so bad that while people think they're comfortable because they've been promised they'll be safe from this virus that's happened out in the world, whatever's happened to America, and they say America's gone to shit because they lost God and their religion, and so this government has come up by
yeah, don't they say
oppressing-
America's like a leper colony or something?
They're oppressing through fear, and because people are scared to die, they go along with this, even though, as he says in his big speech, they know something's wrong. They know things are wrong, but because they don't want to die, they're going along with it, and because they're so scared about what if, they're not addressing things that are bad for no good reason.
Right, okay then. So the bit with the priest, was that before or after he tells her that story and shaves her head?
That's before.
Yeah.
Right, okay then. So they go on like a little excursion to kill that priest, don't they? And
Yeah.
like the priest whips out a little golden gun out of a Bible, doesn't he? And has a little pop.
She escapes.
Yeah, but yeah, that was
Goes to
that
Stephen
was a bit
Fry's
weird.
house.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
escapes to...
Well, shall we pick up with Stephen Fry in the second part?
Yeah.
Right, that's it for part one. Back shortly.
Oh, hello, V. How the fuck are you? Do you like my British accent?
Oh, Evey, I value your vocally vivid voice.
Yeah? And?
Vikings, vaccines, vehicle, vagina vampire? Motherfucker, I've lost it.
Part two, motherfucker! Woo-hoo. So let's kick off. Let's kick off part two. We're talking about Stephen Fry.
I'm getting all with headphones on here.
So what's Stephen Fry's job? Remind me. He's got some kind of weird satirical TV show, is it?
It's like the maybe the Parkinson, the Jonathan Ross, the whatever BBC show main host is
Whereas
now.
John Hurt's a bit more of a Farage, isn't he?
No, John Hurt is the
Yeah,
controller.
like
And
if
then
we're
there's-
talking modern day.
And then there's what's the guy who's the voice of London? I can't remember his name.
Oh, he's a prick.
Yeah, but he's
It's
got
like
a good voice.
It's like a Piers Morgan.
yes.
Yeah, God, yeah.
He is a Piers Morgan with a bigger thing.
Body.
what was it? Pedestal to
Oh, yeah.
shout off, and more people listen to him than Piers Morgan.
Because he had a little nudie scene, didn't he, in the shower? We are talking about the same guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Bit of man tits.
don't want to see
But
him.
he has got a good...
Jiggly man
him
tits.
and John
Yes.
Hurt have got... And even Hugo Weaving. So good voices.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving's got a good voice.
I could just listen to this film and sleep to it.
What was with John Hurt's eyes? He had like weird contacts in, made his pupils look massive.
Maybe that was a purposeful choice to make him look less human.
Was he just not off his tits?
Yeah, probably.
Because most of John Hurt's, the Chancellor's scenes, you only see him once in person. The rest of them is all through screen. So he's meant to be this all omnipresent god.
It was the once where you saw him, the bit where he's like Inspector Gadget and you just see his arm.
Oh, yeah, maybe there is a bit where you just see his... I'll get you next time, Gadget.
That's good.
That
really
was pretty good.
Do you need to cough now? And so Stephen Fry has this show where they bring on what you think is John Hurt. Well, I did anyway, but is it someone in like
No, it's actually
makeup?
John Hurt.
Oh, right, okay then. Why did he agree to do that show?
No, as in... Not the chance...
It's the actor, but it's
Yeah,
not.
it's meant to be someone playing John Hurt,
Right,
but
yeah.
for the actual scene, they just got John Hurt to do it.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I was
Fair
like,
enough.
that's too close, because it confused me. I was watching, I was like, why has he gone on this show?
yeah, I think the main thing they did to try and make it look like it wasn't John Hurt was put extra makeup around the eyes, so it looked a bit ridiculous. But
Yeah.
no, it was just him. Saves money, doesn't it?
And they didn't like that, did they?
No.
Well, if you make fun of a dictator,
The
then,
man.
yeah, as we found out that happens in certain countries, you can't suggest that some dictators aren't fun and friendly and a bit incompetent sometimes. That's how you get a bit dead and chopped up.
But he didn't get killed, though, did he? Because he was there at the end, took his mask off.
No.
No, sorry.
Why? What?
Because the lady that wrote that note that was in the pit of bodies was also there.
Yeah. Oh, there's the little girl who got shot. It was essentially saying that
He is everyone and no one.
Yeah.
He's in us all.
Right, oh, so they were all.
I'm pretty
He's like
sure
some sort of
Stephen
ninja
Fry
fingerer.
got dead.
In fact, V said, I thought he was just going to take him to a camp and leave him there.
But they found the Quran
Yeah.
and they fucked him up.
When they found the Quran, they killed him like just straight away.
Oh, because I was like, oh, that kid's not dead. God, I totally missed that, didn't I? I was like watching
A
the
little
scene.
kid getting shot through the heart, and you thought that kid's going to survive.
Well, I was like, they're killing a kid. Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh no, she's made it.
I'm surprised they kept that in the film, but it worked really well. Where they sent out all the masks, and so by the end of the year, where people are sick of this government. And everyone starts wearing these masks for doing everything.
No, it definitely lost me with the mask bit. I was
I
like,
enjoyed
are you for
it.
reals? Like,
I enjoyed like the whole like anarchy, like here is
Yeah.
something to put on to protect you and just fuck it up.
yeah, but it's supposed to be this like really tight regime of like government power, and yet he managed to send out using like their equivalent of FedEx, like 10,000 masks and costumes, and give people like instructions of where they need to meet on this time, and nobody noticed this. All these vans like in a row pulling up with all these boxes in, and none of these detectives and CCTV cameras that are everywhere.
I think
what are in these boxes?
I think it was supposed
They're
to
all
be
exactly the same shape and size.
I think it was supposed to be like the whole thing about all the vans pulling up. It was supposed to be sort of symbolism rather than, oh, in real life, all these vans are pulling up.
So no one
because-
wore the masks, and
No, like people wore the masks and stuff, but it was like,
was it not
they were-
symbol masks?
there were symbol
Symbolism
masks.
masks.
This is as well where it's because this is based off a comic book, an Alan Moore comic book, which he's the guy who wrote like Watchmen and Swamp Thing, and he's really good at it. Like his comics, if you haven't read V for Vendetta already, go read it. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure I'd seen this film before I read the comic.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Watchmen, I'd read the comic before I'd seen the film. But it's his message is much more poignant in the comic book, and it's completely different. And this is one of those things where in the comic book, you find out actually V for Vendetta. You know how a lot of things are controlled centrally in the film, but it's not. It just in the comic book, it is literally an AI that the like one of the main guys, is actually kind of weirdly in love with this machine, but that machine controls everything. It helps him monitor everything.
Right.
It's this AI that does it. And you find out that V for Vendetta has actually managed to hack into this and have control of this. So while they are watching everything, because he's hacked into this, he's got control of what they think they have control of.
Right.
So that kind of thing is more plausible in the comic.
Yeah, because that didn't come across at all.
And the other thing that doesn't come across in this film, which is something that I really think could have made it better, is in the comic, even the bad guys are human. Like in this, they are comical bad guys. They are very straight, like, I am evil, and they're giving all this rhetoric.
There's the police and the like army guys at the end.
Yeah.
They're not. They're just like, you know what? Fuck this. It's not worth it.
But even this shows, it kind of tries to, the comic tries to give a human side of how this person became this fascist dictator, that it was still his love for his country, and he doesn't hate people. He just genuinely thinks he's doing the right thing. It's not saying it's right. It's just saying this is his personal arc of what he's gone into.
Yeah, but what about the Fingerman?
I think I can't remember if it covers too much of them, but
they're not nice.
Yeah.
The only thing that they want to do is finger people in the dark.
But again, it's just that same
and anal.
And anal.
It's that same theme where it comes back to the statement that nobody ever thinks they're the villain. At some point, they doing something that if you took them into a room, isolated them, and then asked them if it was wrong, they might say, yeah, I know that's wrong. But at the time, they justify it to themselves all the time. And that's what the book tries to say, that these things that get us to this point where we're in a world we don't want to live in, they don't happen overnight. It's not like suddenly you're in this dictatorship. It's a load of little sacrifices that and justifications to yourself that lead you into this hellish nightmare that you're in. And that's why he gave the villains in the comic like a sort of a storyline themselves, so you could empathise with them to understand how this shitness can happen.
Whereas these were very much two-dimensional bad guys. Like who's the bald guy who shouted a lot, who cut a deal with him to kill John Hurt's character.
Oh,
he's not bald.
He is bald.
He's got his hair slicked back. The main cop, in charge of Fingerman.
Yeah,
he's got very thin hair, but it is slicked back.
If it's not bald, it's very, very thin. He needs to.
He reminds me of Koopa from Super Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah, he has got a bit of that like blondie, slick back Koopa look.
Why can't I remember his name? I'm looking through my notes. I know
Peter Foreskin Eater.
Because Finch was the what?
Peter Foreskin Eater.
I think that's about right, isn't it, for him? Creedy was it?
Creedy, that's it. Yeah.
Peter Foreskin Eater.
Where is that from? What am I missing here?
I just think it's a really fun thing to say.
Yeah, so I don't know how to move on from Peter Foreskin Eater.
Well, he cuts a deal with him, doesn't he? Where he's like, I'll help you kill John Hurt's character if you eat my foreskin. No, and then, but what's the deal that he cuts him?
I'm sorry.
Is that the film you want to see? I will kill this dictator if you eat my foreskin.
Would it be attached or snipped off?
It'll just be like a jar of pickled foreskins.
I was going to say attached. I mean, you need to have like cigar
sharp
cutter.
teeth. Oh, gross. That made me feel a bit weird then. So why does he make this deal with him? I didn't quite get why.
V sets up in his head. He sets up a lot of things in his motion that keeps undermining Creedy. And so towards the end, V sets up in Creedy's head that, you know, it's only a matter of time before he turns on you. And sure enough, because Creedy's failing so much because of V, the Lord Chancellor John Hurt is like, you know, you're fucked up. If this blowing up of Parliament happens, the least you're going to worry about is being fired type shit. So,
yeah. You're going to get bummed by your fingerman.
I feel like we've gone a bit... There's a couple of things that went over me, well, a lot, I think, in this film. One, and we'll come back to it, Natalie Portman's relationship with V, I felt like that was so creepy. But the lady who he gave the rose to on her deathbed.
She was the nurse in the basic concentration camp.
The place that burnt down that he was in, was it?
Yeah.
But did she like rat him out or?
No. So the woman that he gave the rose to, and the injection, she was the nurse that was injecting people in this concentration camp, and it ended up being some sort of disease.
She was looking to develop. She actually knew what she was doing was
it
kind
like
of bad.
to try and make super soldiers?
She was doing essentially Nazi scientist experiment because she was they were not super soldiers. They were looking for a way to create a disease that you could control.
Right. Okay.
So it could. I think it was to be for the government to use on external threats. It's essentially chemical warfare.
Right. Yeah.
She was experimenting on them. And her diary at the time suggests that her mindset was like, I'm trying to help my country. You get a little bit of that where, like, why don't these people see that what they're doing is for a greater good, that we'll have much better security as a country just by them sacrificing their bodies, even though it's killing like hundreds of thousands. That's where the concentration camp side of it comes into.
Right, yeah. Again, that was lost on me. So, okay then. So the creepy story about Natalie Portman then. Were you alright with that? With her falling in love with him and kissing his mask and stuff?
I mean, she'd been broken down. It was like very sort of like, old school army kind of tactics, like what you break them down and you build them back up and you make them believe what you need to make them believe kind of thing. And the whole thing where she's in like the concentration camp-esque thing. And, she reads that story about the lady. How she's a lesbian and like
the filmmaker lady,
the actress, I think she was.
That was it,
and then you see that she was one of the people that got injected by this thing and then put in the corpse pit. And then like I think she was in like some weird kind of like brainwashed, or as he liked to put it, free state where like she didn't fear anything, not even fear itself.
It just felt a bit, I don't know, a bit Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Well, it's very much terrorist kind of tactics, isn't it? It's like, I'm gonna break you down, and I'm gonna make you believe in what I believe in, and you're gonna think it's normal.
And this is supposed to be like kind of the hero of the film, and
again, this is because it's a Hollywood movie. He is meant to be the hero, but even in the comic book, and I think they touch on it quite a bit in this film, he's not a hero.
He's a terrorist.
Yeah, he's a terrorist. And he says later on, because at the start, he doesn't seem to kill those fingermen that are attacking her. But later on, he's killing people. And there's a bit in between where Evie's like, I thought you were a good guy in some way. She says it in some way. And he's like, would you prefer not to know that I killed those fingermen? And he says at the start. So he implies that he killed them after that. Like, she just didn't see it. It looked like he didn't kill them. He's like, I killed those people. He understands. The message of the film is he understands he is a monster, but he was a monster created by this worse government type thing.
But then they kind of tried to get us to like hit us with the feels when it was like him on his bed of roses and her kissing him and stuff. And I was like, no, you can't have your cake and eat it. You can't have this guy be the monster who's happy to carry out all these evil acts and then him be the love interest.
Why?
Because it's just a conflicting message, and I was like, well,
he's doing something that in the eyes of the law is like super, super bad, but in the grand scheme of thing, he realizes what the law is doing and what the government is doing is worse than what he's doing.
Yeah, but that's like saying
the needs of the few outweighing the needs of the many.
Yeah, but that's a bit Kim Jong-un, isn't it? Like,
well, let me ask, what do you think of Guy Fawkes? So the guy that he models himself after, what is the story that you know of Guy Fawkes? He tried to blow up Parliament. Why did he try and blow up Parliament?
Because Parliament were being cunts.
In what way? Did he just think they were being cunts? Or?
No, like weren't they were doing something like really bad, like they were taxing like loads of people and like they were doing bad things.
There's a lot of I mean there was doing that as well, but one of the things that apparently Guy Fawkes said when he was arrested was he was trying to blow the Scots back to their own country, because at that time the king was on the throne was like the first King of England that was Scottish born.
Okay.
And so he was a bit racist. In that regard. And yeah, I mean, there was still things they were punishing people religiously, but that's one of the things that they were known for. They wanted to send the Scots back to Scotland.
Oh,
Type
yeah.
thing.
Okay.
Send them back.
So his motives weren't any better for...
No. Well, I don't think...
It was a different time.
Yeah, but nobody's really like, on November the 5th, no one's like, let's celebrate that hero, Guy Fawkes. They throw him on a bonfire or wheel him
People
around
don't-
in a shopping cart and ask for a quid.
Yeah,
People
and
don't know about that now, though.
An iPad probably now.
But this,
People don't get the whole connotation of like bonfire night.
Oh, I didn't know that whole Scottish thing, so... Well, again, and this is for our American listeners as well, who maybe don't celebrate November the 5th.
but I mean, this is the whole thing where he models himself after this guy, but yeah, like he wasn't. This is a very dense film. There's so many. I think we could talk
It's
about
an
it.
onion.
Yeah, it's got
Many layers.
like a lot like an ogre.
Let's not talk about Shrek.
Oh. I thought that's what you set me up to fail.
Unless we're talking about Shrek dank memes, which are my favourite.
What Shrek is love?
Yeah, Shrek is love as well.
There's one you've seen.
But the
Have you not seen?
so
Shrek
the end
is
of the
Love?
film, he
Shrek
he
is
has that big like fight scene
Yeah.
where everyone shoots at him for ages and just so happens to shoot him in his chest area where he's got his... No one shoots him in the arm
No.
or the leg
Or
or
the
anything
face.
like that. Yeah, oh no, I think he's... Is it a bulletproof mask? 'Cause he's got
Yeah.
like chips taken out of it. No one gets him in the neck or anything like that.
But
that's
the
a good
bullets still
scene
go
though.
through him. Like you can see his
it's
plate when it takes
bleeding.
off. It's not like a bulletproof metal vest that magically stops bullets. It just slowed them down. He still got shot,
Yeah.
and he just
They just didn't kill him instantly.
No.
yeah.
That's a good scene though.
Yeah.
Good,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it kind of comes out of nowhere though. It doesn't really match. It's as if they were like
We
spoke
need
to
a
the
fight scene,
Wachowskis
guys.
and like, can you do this scene for us, please? And they were like, go on.
Well, they were only the writers on this film
because I thought they made it, but no, they only wrote it.
the director of this did Sense8 TV series, if you watched it, which
Nope.
is just a bunch of orgies, and Ninja Assassin, which is a sweet ninja film.
Never seen it
No.
And the DOP died.
No.
That's what the thing at
during the
end-
film.
Pretty much after he shot it.
Just out of shame.
Oh, dear.
No, like pretty much same year he died, and he's a really good DOP as well.
Yeah, it looked nice. Apart from the bits at the beginning that looked like they're on a soundstage.
He did Event Horizon. He
Oh,
did
very nice.
Aliens. Reign of Fire.
Hey,
The
I
Princess
like that.
Bride. He was the
Princess
yeah.
Bride.
That's the same
Not
DOP
bothered
as
about
this
Princess
film.
Bride.
What?
I don't think I watched it young enough. I watched it as an adult, so I was like, yeah, this is okay. So it comes to an end. He rides that tube train
Yeah, blows
all the
Parliament
way,
up.
blows it up. What do we think?
That's
That's a good scene, that. Oh, and, yeah, and all the people come out, including the people that were dead that I didn't realise.
Yeah, like it shows that the reason
People
that was
taking
able to happen was
the
because
country
they
back.
did stand up to them.
The policeman as well. She's just like, oh, like, well, I need to do this, and he's like, no, step away. And she's like, no, I need to do this, and he's like, no, step away. And she's like, no, I need to do this.
Yeah.
And like, then she convinces him that it's a good idea to like overthrow the government and tell them to fuck off.
I was going to say we've not talked about that policeman, but I think he's such like a wet character.
Yeah,
I
mean, he has his uses. But if he wasn't in it, I don't think you'd miss him.
No, I don't.
Oh, I loved his. I loved
did
his
you?
downtroddenness. I thought he played that so
But the thing
well.
is, he was the one that was just like, oh, they're gonna get a fucking train, and the chairman's just like, fuck off, gonna get a train. He's like, no, they're gonna get a train, they're gonna blow Parliament up, and they're like, oh no, them tunnels were blocked up many years ago. It's like, but you've not been down there and checked.
Yeah, so he had his wits about him. So I'm going to go first on this film.
Do it.
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. I remember watching it when it first came out. Didn't like it. Watched it again a few years after. Was like, oh no, I've missed something. Really, like, gave it a bad rap. It's a gem. Watched it this time, and yeah, just bored. Absolutely bored from start to finish. I think, yeah, its heart's in the right place, but no, it just doesn't quite deliver for me. So yeah, I think it's Spoilt Milk.
I don't know how you don't get it. I don't know what...
I think you need to watch it in one sitting. I think you really... Were you even paying attention while watching?
Yeah, I was in the house on my own. That was the only thing on TV.
It's got layers, but also at the same time, it's pretty straightforward as well about how political it is.
I think I kind of get the main... I just didn't care at all right from the get-go. And I was
Did you just hate Bonfire Night? Is that what it is?
I really didn't like V. I thought he was smug and arrogant. I didn't like the way he spoke in little rhymes and stuff. That pissed me off. I didn't like Evey Hammond.
He didn't speak in rhymes all the time. He spoke in rhymes once.
Yeah, that kind of just put me off straight from the get-go. And then when he was making his little
rhymes,
eggs and stuff, and I'm like, well, keep your gloves on if you can fight in your gloves. Why do you have to take them off when you're making your eggies? Evey Hammond, I thought her accent was shit and wound me up. I thought all the peripheral characters were really annoying. John Hurt, who I absolutely love, just pissed me off every time. I was like, move away from the camera. You really annoy me. I know it's a stylistic choice, but yeah, everyone in it. And it was glum and depressing, but not in a good way. It was just grey and washed out.
Uplifting. It was a call to action, a call to arms.
The last 20 minutes was quite entertaining. But the first, however long, I was just like, oh God, this is just so dull. And I just didn't like it at all. Really didn't like watching it. Don't think I'll ever watch it again. Sorry.
So Spoilt Milk then.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
next.
I
was ready to be done and draw. And you asked me.
I'm going to go next. And I'm going to say, you're wrong.
You can't say that. You can say you liked it, but you can't say I'm wrong.
I can.
You are wrong. Is invalid in
you
this
are
court.
wrong.
Right, you're wrong about Loaded Weapon.
Does it make it
Loaded
true?
Weapon 1. There you go. Doesn't.
I really enjoyed it. I've not watched this film in many, many years, and I put it on. Both my housemates were in. Emily had never seen it because she's seen about 3 films in her life. Tim was just like, this is amazing, and we were having a good old chat about it. And yeah, people just kind of shut up and just were engrossed in it. And yeah, it's just we were on about, it's got many, many layers, and you can read into it all sorts of stuff. You can go from one extreme to another. But yeah, luxurious cheese for me.
And Hobo.
I'm going to agree. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot that I know is kind of a fuck around from based on the comic. Like the comic, if you like the message in this film, if you read the comic, you get a much deeper.
Sounds like the comic's a lot better.
It takes you much deeper into the story.
Deeper underground.
I think purely the only reason this version is like this is because it was made in Hollywood. Because I do believe the Wachowskis wanted to, be as close to the source material as possible, but they updated it and made it more focused around politics of the time with America, where this was written about the comic was written about the Thatcher era and that sort of fascism. And so it's really annoying with the 2D villains in that sense, but god damn is it just such a well put together movie that, like you said, Katty, just people get engrossed in it, and it's just a nice, normal people get engrossed in it, and it's I think it's got such a clear story on just, even if you're not, it doesn't even need to be a politically charged motivation. It's just you just need to stand up for what you believe in, and just some things you may think are fine, but when you actually think about them, they're not fine. So why accept that? And obviously that plays into my whole belief system. So yeah, luxurious cheese. I'm with Katty on this one.
Right, so it's a luxurious cheese
so
for our Bonfire Night film.
2 for 2 on agreeing with me and Hobo.
Yeah. So for 2 weeks running, I'm the gooseberry.
The gooseberry.
Right, so that's the end of our special Bonfire Night episode of the Spoilt Milk Movie Podcast, where V for Vendetta is a luxurious cheese.
Woo woo!
Thank fuck.
Until next time.
What's that? Oh, he's just making
my
noises.
Fireworks noises.
Oh.
That sounds like a shit fart.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Spoilt Milk Movie Podcast, you pieces of fucking shit.
Yeah.
Pardon me, that came from deep below.
You've done the
It was not
weirdest
me, it was my
plug-all
food.
tonight.
Bug-all-burp.
Plug-all.
I'm gonna move my chair before.
If I drink too much beer, I get really gassy, and the burps just need to come out, and I can't help it.
This should definitely be a podcast of just us all farting and burping the entire time.
Ladies don't fart.